Hello friends, how are you? This is Dr. Sri Nagi, Ayurveda and medicine doctor and also Isha Hatha Yoga teacher. So today in this video we are going to talk about rose. Yes, rose. We all are aware of rose and most of the times we use these rose flower to make to give someone as a compliment, as a symbol of love, as a symbol of affection, and most of the times the choice of a flower for a girl is most of the time rose. Whenever your friend or wife is angry, most of the times you prefer to pick up rose. It's a natural tendency of a human being that they pick up rose and they offer to their wife, their girlfriend, or even to their daughters. So, do you know what's the science behind that? Or let's see what Ayurveda has to say about roses and what are the various uses of roses that's been mentioned in Ayurveda. So, we are going to discuss all these things in this video. Especially rose works very good when someone is in angry mood, because rose is something you cannot throw anger on rose plant or rose flower. So, a rose flower is one flower that brings smile on everybody's face. So, let's see what Ayurveda has to talk about rose. When we go through Ayurveda texts, Ayurveda says it is not a coincidence we use only as a symbol of love or affection, but it has very close relation with subsiding the Pitta Dosha. Actually, the various products of rose that's been used as a medicine in Ayurveda, they stabilizes the Sadhak Pitta. Sadhak Pitta is a sub form of Pitta Dosha. As we know, there are 5 types of Pitta Dosha in Ayurveda. So, this Sadhak Pitta is one of the sub dosha of Pitta. The place of Sadhak Pitta in the body is heart. So, Sadhak Pitta stays in heart and it symbolizes emotion. All the emotional disturbances that most of the times we have, like anger, anxiety and tension, mood swings, they are more related with Sadhak Pitta. Whenever our Sadhak Pitta get disturbed or imbalanced, then it's very frequent that we get these mood swings very frequently. We get angry on small things. These are the signs and symptoms which designate that there is an imbalance in Sadhak Pitta. So, rose is also related with balancing of Pitta Dosha. Why? Because the rose is cooling in potency. According to Ayurveda, the rose petals which we use in various kind of Ayurveda products, they are very cooling in potency, and ultimately it subsides the Pitta Dosha. Now, the question comes, what kind of rose being used to subside this Pitta Dosha? Or balancing this Sadhak Pitta, because Pitta means heat, a lot of heat in the system, whether it is Sadhak Pitta or any other kind of Pitta. Pitta means heat, fire. When we say it got imbalanced, most of the times it get aggravated, and for that we need to put those substances inside the body which are cooling in potency. When I say cooling in potency, that doesn't mean cooling in temperature. It doesn't mean like you start eating ice cream because it is cooling. It has cold temperature, but it is not sure like it will be cooling in potency. When I say rose petals which are being used to subside this Pitta Dosha, I am saying about the property of rose petals. Now, what kind of rose petals I am going to talk about? It is not all rose petals, because most of the roses these days are chemically are genetically modified. So, those rose petals, they don't have the original fragrance and original properties that a rose plant has, because these days a lot of roses are available, those because they are genetically modified roses. Some roses stay for long, for a month they stay. Why a rose is able to stay for a month? Because it is not the original variety, it is just for show purpose, and for business purpose these kind of roses are being used. But there is another kind of roses which is called jungle roses, or you can say in Ayurveda it is called Shatpatri rose, means a rose with 100 petals. So, this kind of rose, if you see, it is this size, and most of the time this outside it is very whitish and its color is very rose pink, rose pinkish color, and its shape is also very wild. It is not very like Valentine rose. It doesn't look like that. It looks very wild like rose, but rose with pink shade. And this is the picture of this rose. So this is the rose which we use for the medicine purpose. And the botanical name of this rose, which I am going to tell, you can search on internet with this name, this kind of rose. It is called Rosa centifolia. This is the botanical name of the rose which has been used as a medicine in Ayurveda. This rose is very look like a cabbage kind, you know, its flower look like very dense. So this rose has been used in Ayurveda for making various kind of Ayurveda medicines which are cooling in potency. One kind of this medicine which we use that is very good for your digestive system also, that is called Gulkand. There is a specific procedure to make this Gulkand, and if you go through Ayurveda herbs, there is this Gulkand is available. But you make sure like you always buy or purchase this Gulkand from a very trustworthy source which pharmacy is very known to you, because you know these days on the name of Ayurveda people are putting a lot of adulteration, so which doesn't give much benefits, though it sometimes a lot of chemicals they use which are not good for the body. So it's very important, like if you are buy these kind of products, you always purchase from a trustworthy pharmacy and from a trustworthy source. But this Gulkand, I just want to make you aware, like this kind of medicine is available in Ayurveda. It is called Gulkand. And if some person has a lot of Pitta Dosha imbalance problems and a lot of emotional disturbances if a person is feeling, so for those kind of people, this Gulkand is extremely beneficial. It is made up of rose petals which are been processed in a specific way with sweet and with sugar. It's been made. But make sure like if you are a diabetic person, please don't use this Gulkand because it is very sweet in nature and it will raise your sugar levels. So it is contraindicated for diabetic patients. Diabetic people will not use this Gulkand. But those people who are going through emotional disturbances, they can use this rose water. If you have this kind of rose in your garden, you can use this rose tea. You can take petals of some rose, you just put in a glass of water, boil it, just few petals of rose, and drink that tea. You will see, like you will feel very pleasant after having this kind of rose tea. But I want to mention, like this specific rose which I am mentioning here, you need to use only this specific rose if you have this rose in your garden. Other kind of this cosmetic point of view, what the roses they made, that roses will not yield any effect, because most of the roses, so these days even if you smell rose, they don't have any fragrance. It is artificial fragrances are being sprayed on them. So those roses are not so beneficial, but this specific rose, it has medicinal properties which we use in Ayurveda. So you can also make use of it. Just take few petals of it, boil it for next 10 minutes in hot water, and then filter these petals and just enjoy the fragrance of rose tea. That would be extremely beneficial for you. In addition to this, now must be thinking this rose tea for how many times you can take. Once or twice if you want to have, you can have it. And make sure this rose tea should not be made in boiling water. This rose tea you should take in lukewarm water, because once you boil these rose petals in this tea, then let this tea to comes to room temperature, just lukewarm. When the temperature of the tea will be lukewarm, that time you need to drink this rose petal tea. You will see the color of the tea will be very light pinkish, and it looks extremely good, and even the flavor of the tea will be extremely good. Even many countries of Europe, I have seen, like they have an old culture of taking these flower petals just from the garden and just putting these flower petals in a warm water and just drink the juice of these flower petals. So it is also one of the same procedure. You can see it is called rose tea these days. So it's a part of culture in many countries, but in India also it was like this.